Alright, so the last video of this week is surface area of cylinders. We've grouped surface area with two different types of 3D figures each week, and then we'll do the same thing with volume. This week was prisms, and now your second one is cylinders. So we did group prisms and cylinders together, and what you need to remember is that a cylinder is a prism, and it has special bases, and those bases are circles. So a cylinder is a prism with circles as bases. So again, we have two formulas, lateral and total. Remember that total is the lateral plus the area of the bases times 2. So our first one, the lateral is 2 pi and then r, which stands for radius, times h, which stands for height. So we take 2 times pi times the radius times the height. And the second formula, we have 2 pi r squared. So remember your r is radius. That's because we take 2 times the area of the base. And since the bases are circles, we use that pi r squared, because pi r squared is the area of circles formula. Plus 2 pi r radius again times h height. Remember, total surface area, we take that lateral. So if you notice, the second part of the total surface area formula is the lateral surface area. And the first part is the 2 times the area of the base. It's made specific here because it's for cylinders, since they are a type of prism. And since the bases are circles, we're able to put in those circle formulas. Alright, so I want to find the lateral and total surface area. In example 1, I know it just says find the lateral surface area, but I'm going to go ahead and find both. So lateral area, that formula, remember, is 2 pi r h, where r is our radius and h is our height. So when I look at this circle that I'm given, I have two measurements. I see that my h is 11. The height of this from base to base is 11. So there's my h. But when I look at the bottom, I'm given 22. Remember, your radius goes from the middle of the circle to the edge. This is the diameter. So you need to remember diameter is 2r. So we're going to plug this in and solve for r. 22 equals 2r. Divide both sides by 2. So my radius here is 11. When I plug into my formula, 2 pi times my radius is 11. My height is 11. So 2 pi times 11 gives me 121. And then I'm going to go ahead and do 2 times 121. And I end up with 242 pi as my exact answer for lateral. If I wanted a decimal, you would plug it in, put pi with it, and my decimal would give me 760.27. Either answer works. I'll count either one. It's just up to you which one you want to use. And then my formula for total surface area is surface area equals 2 times the area of the base, so pi r squared, plus that lateral surface area, 2 pi r h. So I'm going to focus on the area of the base first. I'm going to plug in 2 times pi, and I already found my r, which was 11. So 11 squared. 2 pi, 11 squared gives me 121. And then 2 times 121 gives me 242 pi. Now it did work out to be the same as what our lateral area is, but it's not always going to be that way. I already found this 2 pi r h all the way over here. So I'm going to plug that in as 242 pi. Since they are the same with the pi next to it, I can add the numbers in front together. That gives me 484 pi as my surface area. Or if you want the decimal for that, it ends up being 1,520.53. Alright, so we are back with a new cylinder. It's still the same principle. I was nice to you on this one, and I gave you the height and the radius already. So 2 is my radius. You don't have to find it with the diameter. And 11 ends up being my height. So I'm going to find my lateral first. Remember that formula is 2 pi r h. So 2 times pi times my radius, which is 2, times my height, 11. So now 2 pi, 2 times 11 gives me 22. And my last step, I'm going to take 2 pi times 22, and that gives me 44 pi. Again, I'm going to give you both answers just in case you do it in the calculator or something. And my lateral area as a decimal is also 138.23. You do not have to give me both answers. It's your preference. I'll count either answer correct. So for my total surface area, remember that's 2 times the area of the base, 2 pi r squared. And we add in that lateral surface area, which is 2 pi r h. So 2 pi times my r is 2, so 2 squared, plus that lateral surface area. I'm not going to rework it because I already found it, and I'm going to plug it in as 44 pi. Now 2 squared gives me 4, so 2 pi times 4 plus 44 pi. And then we distribute that 2 pi into parentheses. That gives me 8 pi plus 44 pi. So 8 plus 44 leaves me with 52 pi as the exact answer. 52 pi as a decimal gives me 163.36. So this is what my total surface area would be, exact and a decimal approximation. Alright, so example 3, I ask you to find the total surface area, and you're like, okay, cool, I only have to find one thing. But remember, in the total surface area formula, the lateral formula is already there. If you want to find that first, you can, or you can just plug in the information to the total surface area, which is what I'm going to do here. So remember, our formula is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. I'm going to go over to my diagram and identify what my r and my h is, or are. So 7 is the height. It connects the two bases. When I look at 14, it goes all the way across the circle. So I know 14 is my diameter. And in order to find my radius, remember, all you have to do is take half of the diameter. So I know my radius is 7. Alright, so now plugging into our big formula, 2 pi. Remember, my r was 7. It was half of the diameter. Plus 2 pi r times the height, which was 7. I got lucky here. They're the same. So 2 pi times 7 squared gives me 49, plus 2 pi, and then we end up having 7 squared here, again, is 49. I'm going to distribute that 2 pi into each of those parentheses. So I end up with 98 pi plus 98 pi. And then I'm going to add those two together. And when I do that, my exact answer would be 196 pi. You can stop right here. Or if you want the exact answer, 196 pi in the calculator as a decimal would give me 615.75. My bad, I said exact answer. It should be approximate answer. Alright, example 4. This is just another way a cylinder could look. I'm going to go through and I'm going to find everything for it. I know my bases are connected by this height. So 6 inches ends up being my height. My diameter is 24 inches. So remember, to find that radius, you have to divide it by 2. So I know my radius is 12. Again, this is like example 3 where we can just find and plug everything in. So surface area is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. So I'm going to plug everything into my formula that I know. 2 pi. My r is 12, so 12 squared plus 2 pi. I already said my r was 12. Times my height, which is 6. I'm going to start simplifying stuff. So 2 pi times 12 squared, or 12 times 12, gives me 144. Plus 2 pi times 12 times 6 should give me 72. So I just simplified the parentheses, multiply what I could multiply. My next step is to distribute that 2 pi into the parentheses. So 144 times 2 should give me 288 pi. 288 pi. Plus that 2 pi times 72 gives me 144 pi. And my last step to get the exact answer would be to add 288 and 144. And I end up with 432 pi. Remember, you can stop here if you want. But if you want that decimal approximation, 432 pi in the calculator should give you something close to 1,357.17. On a lot of the assignments that I'm getting really close answers. So if you're using like an approximation for pi, like 3.14, please let me know on your work. Maybe put a little star and say I'm using 3.14, or at the beginning of your slides on one of the answers say I use 3.14. That way I don't count off for you being off on the answer. So example 5, I'm going to do a little different than I did earlier. I'm going to look at my total surface area formula. So I have 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in all the information, and then I'm going to pull the lateral from this, kind of, so I'm just having to do like one step still. I know my 12 is my radius and my 8 is my height because the 8 connects the two faces. So let's plug into the formula. 2 pi times my r 12 squared plus 2 pi times my r, 12, again times my height, 8. So I have 2 pi times 12 squared is 144 plus 2 pi times 12 times 8 should give you 96. Now I'm going to go ahead and distribute some stuff. So I end up with 288 pi for the first part plus 96 times 2 pi gives me 192 pi. Now remember in our formula that 2 pi RH is my lateral surface area. And I have found that simplified. So I know my lateral surface area is 192 pi as an exact answer. And as a decimal answer, 192 pi gives me 603.19. Now I'm going to continue over here at the left. I'm going to do 288 plus 192, and that is going to give me 480. So my total surface area is 480 pi as an exact answer, and as a decimal approximation, 480 pi gives me 1,507.96. Again, number 6, we're going to find both areas, so I'm just going to do it like I did on number 5. 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. I made it easy again, and I have 8 is my radius, and the height that connects them is 10. So 2 pi, my radius is 8 squared, plus 2 pi, my radius is 8, times my height, which is 10. 2 pi, 8 squared, or 8 times 8 gives me 64, plus 2 pi, and then 8 times 10 gives me 80. So simplifying the first part, 2 pi distributed into 64 gives me 128 pi. That's the area of both bases. 2 pi distributed into 80 is 160 pi. So remember, I asked for both areas, so the lateral is that second part. So that means that my lateral surface area is what we just found, that 160 pi. I pulled it straight from this formula. And then I'm going to go ahead and give you the decimal answer as well in case you want it. And my decimal answer is 502.65. My last step is to combine it. So 128 plus 160 gives me 288 pi as my exact answer. So then my decimal answer, 288 pi, would be 904.78. So this last one is for you to try. I'm going to give you the answer for the lateral and the total surface area. If you don't know how to do it, you need to make sure you ask me questions. If you do, just check, make sure you can get this right on your own. And then the assignment is on Google Slides as well. All right, so your answers for number 7, the lateral surface area is 72 pi or 226.19. And your total surface area is 144 pi or 452.39. So remember, you do have an assignment on Google Slides. That is it for this week. So if you have done everything so far, you are up to date. If you haven't, you need to get caught up. I will be explaining the grading procedure. We are switching to some sort of grading procedure. As soon as it is finalized, I will let you know. I will answer questions, and I'll give you a more in-depth explanation of it. So have a good week, and make sure you get your work done.